How often do you get stressed?
Like daily, actually. But then I tell myself it's for a good cause, and that the people who are stressing me are only stressing me because they haven't yet seen the light. Willkommen, bienvenue. Welcome to another one of my many live streams with my dear friend David Chernick, sales designer. I like the sales designer. You'll design yourself, and my name, Gareth Wax, of course, of many purple hats. Today, we're talking about a topic that some people find difficult, which is, of course, mental health problems. But specifically, the question is, does working within the sales firmament exacerbate mental health issues?
Well, I mean, I was prompted to sort of think about this topic because, or a couple of reasons. I was booked to do a couple of talks coming up in the next couple of days on mental health issues.
Oh, wow.
Of which I have personal experience.
Of course.
And then also I started seeing posts about Blue Monday, which has just gone, which is apparently the most depressing day of the year.
Yeah, but I think a lot of that's psychosomatic. You think Blue Monday's coming along, so you think you feel depressed.
I wasn't expecting it to be labelled Blue Monday. It's probably something like, one of those days that's invented by the card companies.
Oh, yeah, the whole.
So I'm just thinking of you on Blue Monday.
Yeah, yes. Here's to a happy Blue Monday.
Yeah, but it is something that comes in. I mean, it comes into my work, right? I mean, not just with my own experiences, but I have clients. I mean, it's one of those things that can impact a business owner or a sales director's management of their sales teams, and of course, the performance of their sales people.
Right.
So I have referred, clients of mine to various therapists or. As far as I'm concerned, whatever it takes to close deals, and if that is a contributing factor, as it often is,
Yeah, but you know what? There's some things I won't accept to close deals. I do not want a deal to close, certainly for me, if I feel that it is because they feel that they can use me as a mental health practitioner.
Well, I mean, do you not refer clients to stuff that you don't do? I mean, if a client came to you and said, "Oh, my fleet of vans is broken down," you don't happen to know somebody.
I mean, look, full transparency, what I do is help promote people on LinkedIn, and I've had people want me to take them on as clients to pay me money, when what they really need is someone to sit down and counsel them.
Right. So you refer people on, right? You signpost people to other services as well?
Refer them on, and I would not take that person on.
Yeah. I mean, I've done the same. I've actually, not that long ago, I had a client who clearly had a number of different mental health issues, including, as it turned out, bipolar, which was prompting this client to make some quite rash decisions that would have positively impacted my earnings. But I stopped at that point, and yeah. So that's personal responsibility, but that's not necessarily what
they wanted me to do a whole series of live streams with them, and they wanted to use those live streams as almost like live therapy.
Okay. Well, I mean, sometimes my coaching anyway does feel like I have had people telling me before and describing me as, well, this is a bit like therapy, David. Which I guess it is, but I'm not a trained practitioner, mental health practitioner.
No, but you're asking them to look at stuff that they normally would not want to look at. That's the thing, because there's a lot of stuff in sales, and the parallels that can be drawn between normal talking therapies. Because I've been on, I have had mental health issues. I am autistic, dyspraxic, dyslexic, and also ADHD, and frankly, bloody minded too. So between all of that all together, life has been interesting. But the thing about sales coaching is you're often, and the same thing with talking therapists, you're often getting people to look at stuff which they normally try and hide from themselves.
For sure. And it is pretty common as well for the thing that somebody presents with. So they'll quite often come in and say, look, I've spent all this money on lead generation, nothing's converted.
Yes.
It's the lead. I need a different lead guy, right? So and then I look at their pipeline. I'm like, you know what? Your pipeline is full of cherries, beautiful stuff here, but so it's not the leads.
One common factor.
You,
there's one common factor.
And it could be a number of things. I mean, quite often there's a sort of a thing, since we're talking a bit medically, a comorbidity. There'll be, an issue with their pipeline development. There'll be some people issues. There'll be a systems problem, a strategy thing, and an HR. So it'll be a number of different things which we have to prioritize and then fix one by one. And so there are a number of things, and one of those things can be, and often is, something to do with the sales leader or some of the most relied upon performers going through a bad patch. Whenever people in sales departments, I can't really speak for other departments, talk about sort of capability management, performance management, they'll often follow the rule book and they'll go, is there anything going on that might be impacting your performance before we start? And it's actually in sales, there are some particular characteristics that are expected in sales and that are commonplace in sales, people characteristics that I think can make them particularly prone. So I did a little bit of desk research during the course of this week, and it's very difficult to find research specifically for sales on mental health, but there is some that I found, and it's pretty good research. I need to check the methodology, and I'm interested in the sample sizes. But I found somebody called Lillian Ayala, Ayala. Not spoken to her before.
Run that by me again.
Lillian, Lillian, Ayala, Ayala.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Now she has a consultancy that I think is based up in Leeds, UK, called the Fuse Box, and she seems to have done and published some research in conjunction with King's College London. Okay. Now again, I've not seen the methodology, I've not seen anything about samples or anything like that. But one of her findings is that when asked, 23% of people working in sales experience a stress impact on their job and on their performance, productivity, either most of the time or nearly all of the time.
So a fifth of people find stress in sales-related jobs
all the time, or most of the time. Yeah. Now there are other departments, I'm sure, and other professions where they can be really stressful. I mean, you have to think of things like air traffic controllers and whatnot. But there it's kind of expected, and there I think it might be easier. I don't know. I've never done that job, but it might be easier to ask for help. Whereas in sales, as we've talked about a lot, there's a lot of sort of bravado and machismo and tough and positive, always be positive and all of that kind of stuff, which has its different dynamic. So, it's interesting to see the data on it. And I'd be very interested to hear from other people who are involved. They don't necessarily have to have a sales job, but if a big chunk of their work, if they are an owner manager, or if they are, in a small business where bringing business in is a big part of the job, or other industries like recruitment, whereas if you're a recruitment agent, you're expected to, onboard new clients and, hunt for new vacancies and stuff like that to fill.
But hang on a second. Isn't it a truism to say that sales is defined by tension?
Tension, that's different though to stress. Tension is more of a sort of an edginess, isn't it?
I think you'll find they are synonyms, my friend.
They could be. They could well be in certain circumstances. But yeah.
But the whole point.
When you say you said defined by tension.
Yeah. The fact that the tension is between their belief and the sale. So they have a belief that they want to achieve a certain set of goals, and you are trying to have them understand that the solution, the product, the service, the idea that you are inveigling them with will solve, mollify, mitigate, help with whatever it is they're trying to achieve, and that there'll be a cost attached to it, and therefore that through the process, and this is where the tension lies, once they get from one end of the process to the other, when they close the sale, that will relieve the tension that they've found in the process that is missing, and that your service, your provision.
Yeah, for sure. That could well. I mean, look, I'm sure. Obviously, that is going to play a big part of it.
And therefore, with
it's
anything,
emotional, isn't it?
Well, it is emotional, and therefore the whole process from beginning to end is a whole series of if, buts, maybes that aren't really answered until they're using the service.
Yeah,
pressing the button on the Okie Kokie 2000, creating their first cup of whatever it is from the first thing bob that you've provided them. Until that actually happens, there's tension. So it's always going to be stress related to it.
Yeah. So look, I think that there are, stress is one thing, but I think that when it falls outside of the typical range, a healthy range, that is when it becomes a problem, right? So people get depressed when sad things happen. People experience anxiety when there's things that they're about to do something scary. But it's not necessarily a medical condition, or it's not necessarily something that impacts a significant proportion of your life. But if salespeople are reporting,
I don't think stress is a medical condition. I think stress leads to a medical condition.
Okay. Well, look, I'm not a medical practitioner.
No, but I'm just thinking it through. From the logic, stress is that application of weight, whether it's be physical or metaphysical.
Yeah, but there are other factors in the work itself. I mean, not least of which is the fact that your earnings are usually variable and dependent on your often individual performance.
The OTE. Yes. Yeah, don't we love that?
It. Now we do love it because that's sometimes what delivers some of the great gains, and it's however. It's not always the case, and I've interviewed so many people in sales over the years, and almost none have volunteered when asked about that maybe they would have missed a performance goal. Yeah, if everybody was telling the truth, then the stock markets around the world would be constantly going up in one direction, right? But it's not the case. So there is sort of a variable delivery and outcome. And we're often sort of thinking about it from a well-being point of view and from a people management point of view. It's not always about measuring outcomes. Yeah, it's about sort of trying to promote healthy activities, healthy in the broadest sense. What are the actual things that I have control over? We can't control whether somebody's going to buy it or not, but we can have an impact on our own activities.
Does sales need stress to work?
Look, I personally think if you're not feeling a sense of discomfort in certainly the stuff that I do, and I don't just do sales, I run an events business, I'm DJing big fat parties, I do my self-defense, Krav Maga, and I often feel, and anybody that does sort of working out or exercise or sports, no pain, no gain does have some truth in it. I mean, unless you are like, if you're trying to build muscle mass, for example, unless you're feeling a burn in your muscle, from my understanding, that means that no real work is happening to those muscles, right? So, unless every so often I get clobbered around the face, I won't know how to, do a good guard against an attack. And the same with sales. Unless you hear no regularly enough, you're probably not pushing hard. It's probably not enough tension in those interactions with people. So, yeah. I would say that stress is a normal and a warranted and wanted part of the...
Right, but some people react to certain levels of stress quite normally. And it's when it gets to the unseen point where it's defined as too much or too much all at once.
Yeah.
That they go ping and they either retreat or they do that fight or flight thing, don't they?
Yeah, well, that's part of the response, and on a business level, you can notice these things in things like behaviors and performance. So you can spot changes in people's behavior, and you can also spot changes in their performance. And whilst we sort of pull salespeople into the office for a chat about their performance, how things are going, or we just review our ongoing performance just as a regular part of our business, and a weekly sales meeting, whatever it is, needs to be something that we take care to be able to at least signpost people to helpful support. In the same way that if we felt that a salesperson didn't have a particular skill set, or if I, as a salesperson, don't have a particular skill set, I should feel in a healthy world motivated to try and acquire those skills. Trying to fill that gap. But equally, if I'm finding life just too stressful, I can't get on top of these targets, and I've got a manager breathing down my neck, and I've got people moving me around without my control. And that's another factor, is that especially if you're an employee, you don't have the control, and even if you are self-employed and you're selling, you don't have full control, and a lack of control over your destiny is another factor, in what can bring on an unhealthy
do what I love
level
you to
of
do
stress.
at the end of these things. Give me a quick summary of our position on stress.
So I think our position is that I think we probably definitely agree with the fact that sales is a more stressful and more mental health problem prone work environment than many others. That there are signs that you can spot in yourself and in others, and I would use this live stream as an opportunity to signpost people to helpful services out there, to be able to report things, if you can, within your own work environment, to your colleagues or managers or peers. But also to use professional services. I mean, from my own experience, and we're going back a long way, I think the first time I presented my problems to anybody was firstly to a family member. Actually, no, it wasn't. It was firstly to the local general practitioner, to a doctor, and I phoned them up, and I made myself an appointment.
And did they
10 minutes later,
take these two and see me in the morning?
Well, no, it was a little bit more related than that. But I phoned up. Actually, I cancelled the appointment 10 minutes later, and I was like, "Oh, what am I doing, wasting my time with this?" And thankfully, they phoned me back. The receptionist phoned me back. This is a good news story about a GP surgery practice.
I'm sorry, that's a rarity.
Yeah, so they said, well, when you'd cancelled it, so I told the doctor, and they insisted I call you back and ask you to actually come in. So, that was sort of my routine. The story of what happens next is perhaps a session for another day. But you can get help, and there are lots of different places to get it.
I would say that's the good point to end this. There is help out there. You don't have to deal with this alone. Although neither David nor I are qualified to provide mental health, we are a listening ear, and
we can signpost people to relevant services in their local area. So, as I do as part of my consultancy, and as I'm sure you would do, just if the same was presented to you.
I often do. All right. Well, look, let me just say thank you so much, David, for our continuing track into sales in 20. It's not going to work. Oh, there we go. In 20th century, look, he is the devil himself. And I wish everyone a wonderful tail end to the week. We've got over hump day, thank goodness. We're getting through Thursday. Friday's just a wink away, and then hooray for the weekend. And
we're back on our usual time next Wednesday,
back
right?
on our usual time. Sorry about this week. It was actually my fault, but here we are. And I wish you all really good and solid mental health. Bye-bye now.